it was interesting. I'm just reading here that apparently there was a lot of tense debate inside the White House over exactly how these attacks should look, what should be attacked, how broad they should be. These are not easy decisions.
Right. So the headline here is this is a much broader, more substantial attack than I think many expected. If you look at during the Trump administration, there were a couple of times where we were attacked by Iranian proxy forces and we did limited retaliatory strikes. Same in the Biden administration so far. But this attack already has 85 targets that have been hit, and the administration has said they've just begun the attack. So what this says to me is this was more than just showing Iran and Iranian proxy forces that we will strike back when American forces are endangered, but it's also an attempt to degrade the military capacity of these proxy forces. It targeted their weapons depots. It targeted areas where they keep drones. So it's also intended to make it more difficult for these proxy forces to strike back at us. But I would also think about the fact that these proxy forces are spread out across Syria and Iraq and Yemen. And in Syria, there are tens of thousands of Hezbollah fighters. In Iraq, there's almost 200,000 militias, sectarian Shia militias. Some of those are affiliated with Hezbollah, some are affiliated with other groups, but many of them also are responsible for attacks on the U.S. So we're talking about a large group of fighters in both countries that we have to target.
And what about the point that Colonel Davis just made, that if, in fact, members of the IRGC, the Iranian National Guard, are killed in these attacks, that it might actually, despite what Iran said earlier, that they would only retaliate or react to these strikes if Iran proper was targeted, and it's not, at least as of now, that if members of its IRGC are killed in these attacks, it might.
Well, you never know whether to believe Iran. We killed Qasem Soleimani during the Trump administration. He was targeted, he was assassinated by U.S. forces, and Iran promised to retaliate. They did have a very minor retaliation. It wasn't really much.
Yeah.
And it was certainly not intended to really hurt, to kill U.S. forces. So we might be looking at that again, that a very minimal retaliation by Iran, but who knows? And also, some wonder how much Iran can really control these proxy forces, especially in Iraq, they're not Iranians. They're Arab Iraqis who are affiliated and supported and funded by Iran, but they won't always do what Iran wants.
Right. That's the big question. Iran can certainly cut off funding and support, but that's sort of a long-term thing, a long-term consequence. If Iran orders them to stop doing all these attacks, will they in fact listen is the key question. All right. David Tafuri, Colonel Davis, thank you so much. Stand by. We might come back to you, but we need to take a quick break. Continuing coverage.